We're going to quickly try and build a AutomobloxMan person. I guess where the man is the first piece on the square base. So we're going to make sure we're in our AutomobloxMan projects folder. Which my computer is slow here, but here we go, AutomobloxMan, so I'm all set. I'm going to need a new standard part. I'm simply following the directions on 5.5b, Model Features Part 2. This starts on the bottom of page 5, although the dimensions start on page 6. So we need to draw a square for the bottom of the AutomobloxMan. Now, since it's the bottom, we might as well choose that top plane. And when I make a rectangle, why don't I do a 2-point center rectangle? Because that'll allow this man to be centered on the origin, which is going to be nice for us. So we're going to make this point 575. 575. Remember, if you need to, you can always pause it or rewind. That's my finished rectangle. I need to extrude it, and simply reading my instructions and finding out that is 0.030 tall. That doesn't look right. Let me fix that. Apparently 0 point. So I'm going to edit the sketch in my browser. I'm sorry, edit the feature. I actually want it to be 0.30. Oh yes, that's more like it. Next step, step 3, tells me I need an ellipse on this sketch plane. So create a sketch on the top of this pedestal. I am going to center an ellipse right here. This is another reason why this center point rectangle works out nicely. Start your center point, draw the one axis and then the other axis. I'm simply trying to make it look like the picture. If you don't know how to make those dimensions on the picture, just grab your ellipse, 0.236, grab the ellipse in the other direction, 1.5. This is what the man sits on top of. I need to extrude this ellipse, so I'm finished with it, fully constrained. Extrude this 0.115. Enter. Now from there, we're going to have to create a sketch on top of that. So, new sketch up here. I'm going to project my geometry onto my new sketch, and I am going to offset this ellipse so that it looks like the picture on page 7. You can see that ellipse goes right to the edge of this part here, right to the edge of this rectangle. Now sometimes, it depends on how you order things, we can put, there we go. Because I projected that profile first, and then I offset it, I can put this dimension on, 050, enter. If you can't put the dimension on there, no big deal, just make sure it's in the same scale. So I'm finished with the sketch. I'm going to need to extrude this thing, but not only this, but also this. So I'm going to select both of those profiles. Now it tells me, I can see in the little dialog box on page 7 that the distance of this extrusion is 0.84 inches. But the other thing that we have to pay attention to is there is a taper. So I'm going to look at the front view while I'm doing this so I can compare this to what it should look like. There is a taper. To get to a taper, I have to go to More. This allows me to put an angle in here. Notice what it's doing. A little bit. A little more. We're really just trying to make it the scale of what is on this paper. I really think something around a 7-degree angle looks kind of nice. I'm good with that. So far, so good. The next part needs us to make a work axis. Now, it's a little tricky. Place a work axis through the center point along the top, along the long axis of the ellipse body. So, if I change my view, it's telling me it wants a work axis through the center point along the long work axis. So in order to do that, you might go up, here's my work axis. You might find it doesn't really want to, it gives me a first part, but then I can't really connect it to get it through here. So, hold on, what's that? Oh, I like that one. So that axis looks good. However, when I look in the front view, I can see that it is not truly what I want. So I'm going to have to delete it. Delete, and let's try again. So when I go to the home view, here's what I can do. I can create a new sketch on the top of this thing, and I can simply draw a line. Draw a line right here. I'm going to finish that sketch. There's my line, and when I really want an axis, I'm just going to pop an axis right on top of that line. It'll sit here on that sketch. It's not going to hurt anything. We'll leave it there. If it becomes a problem, we'll do something with it. But I think that's good. Next thing it tells me to do is it wants a sketch along parallel with that long axis on the base. So here's my axis. Here's a parallel plane. So there we go. Next thing they want to show me is they want me to show me how to slice graphics. So this is a tool that's going to be helpful in the future. I can either click over here or click on my sketch, and right in the middle somewhere here we go, slice graphics. You can kind of see what's happening here. It is taking that plane and it is cutting everything to the one side of it so that I can see underneath it. Now for this particular part, this is of limited use. There are times when we are going to use that quite a bit. We're turning the page, we slice the graphics, it's telling me we need to project our geometry. We're going to need that work axis. And the next thing we're going to do towards the bottom of page 8, we have to create an arc. It's a 3-point arc. Make it approximate to what's on your paper. Beginning, end, midpoint should be right at the center of that work axis. So it should look something like this. We're going to have to close our profile. So we're going to go from the end of my arc down to the bottom of my block. Close this in right here. Close this in right here. And it looks pretty good. I think I am just going to make sure that this line is the same size as this line. And if the arc is in the wrong spot, it'll move it to the right spot. Now we're going to do a different type of extrusion than we've done before. So I'm going to finish this sketch. I can see what I've done. I am going to extrude, but this time I am going to do this third choice. We add material, subtract material, and intersect material. That is what I want to do, and we'll see why we do that. Select my profiles. I want everything that I want to keep. I want this and this. And you can kind of see from the preview that it is going to get rid of everything outside what I have done. So far this is good. However, look at this. You see that little strip of material up top there that I sliced away? Well, I really want that to come back afterwards. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to say, give me a symmetrical extrusion, only rather than a distance, I want to cut away all. So what it's going to do is when I'm done, I'm going to hit OK. It's working, and seems like that should be back. Let's make sure. Edit feature, did I not hit that properly? I did symmetrical. There you go. I must not have clicked it properly. So hit OK. There, it came back. So this looks good so far. So we're at the middle of page 9. The next thing we need to do is make a head here. So in order to make a head, we are going to need a sketch plane right in the middle of the part. This comes in handy over here. I can go back to my browser, start where my origin is, and look at the different planes I have. And I could draw a head either on the YZ plane or the XY plane. To make the XY plane visible so that I can create a new sketch on it. There we go. I'll zoom out so I can get to where the head is. I am going to draw my revolve line for my head. So in order to do that, you can see it's kind of hard for me to connect here. So I'm going to project the geometry again. I know that center line's right where it's supposed to be. So let me draw that line. Oh, now I snap to the line. So I know the head will actually be on the part. Now everything that I'm drawing here with the head is just going to be to scale. So we're not going to put any sort of dimensions on here. We're just going to kind of make it look like what the drawing on the paper looks like. I'm going to make an arc for the outside of the head. I'm going to make a line for the side of the head. Then I'm going to use another arc to close the profile and for the chin. Say close the profile, but I can see right here that I have a problem there. Well, that's okay. I know how to fix that. I'm going to go on one of my lines, right click, and say close loop. And it tells me select anything involved in that loop. So I want to loop to this and this. Oh, there's a gap. Yep, fill in the gap. The loop was successfully closed. And now you can see that space is filled in. So now I'm finished with the sketch. I am going to revolve that head. Which profile? This one. Which axis? This one. Revolved. Looks pretty good to me. Hit OK. I'm going to look to the front. Maybe that's slightly short. If I need to, I could edit that sketch, although I'm running out of time right now, so I'm going to leave it the way it is. And the last thing well, not the last thing, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of all these work planes. Turn the visibility off on my XY plane, turn the visibility off on my sketch 4 that simply has that line. I'm going to turn the visibility off on this works axis. And now I'm left with that man-shaped thing. Just going to change the material to ABS plastic and change the color to this fancy green color. I want to color all of it green. Check to OK. And there he is, AutomobloxMan. We're simply going to save him as, yeah, AutomobloxMan with your initials possibly. And we are done with him. We can go on to the AutomobloxWoman.